I'm part of Generation Z, and so are most of you. That's what they call people born between 1995 and 2005. This is an amazing time for us. We are able to participate in a classroom in Sydney in the morning, and another in Singapore in the afternoon. I am able to see my grandparents every day, and they live 450 miles away. There are all these great opportunities for us teenagers. But the story is not so great for many other kids who are part of Generation Z. Did you know that there are at least 155 million kids worldwide that are overweight or obese? People are dying every day because of obesity. Generation Z is going to be possibly the first generation ever to have their parents outlive them. Now, I'm not saying that you are going to outlive your parents, but for many other people, that is the case. Could you imagine dying much younger or living a life cut short because you ate unhealthy food or had minimal exercise? Obesity has more than doubled in children and tripled in adolescents in the past 30 years in the U.S. Just in 2010, more than one-third of the children and adolescents were overweight or obese. What does that tell us? It tells us we need change. People are dying every day as a result of obesity, something that is preventable. Kids who are obese are at a much greater risk for immediate health issues, such as bone and joint problems, sleep apnea, and social and psychological problems, such as poor self-esteem. They are also at risk of many types of cancer, juvenile diabetes, and type 2 diabetes. Actually, 1 out of 3 kids born in 2000 or later will experience diabetes at some point in their life. Most kids don't want these problems. Most kids would like to change their habits, but it can be very, very difficult. Studies indicate that childhood obesity may originate from genetics, eating habits, lack of exercise, or a combination of all of these. We're constantly bombarded with advertising from food companies promoting their sugary, supersized snacks. In addition, for kids who grow up in an environment of unhealthy habits, it can be very difficult to change. They are not responsible for purchasing their food and may not have the support they need to make a healthy eating and exercise program successful. So it is hard, but not impossible. My dad grew up in a working-class household in a blue-collar city in Ontario. When he was in 8th grade, and the same age that I am today, he'd come home from school and eat volumes of food. He weighed slightly over 300 pounds. My dad was from a Ukrainian family that was very loving. An abundance of unhealthy food was part of his everyday life. My dad participated in sports and did extremely well during his 8th grade year, but was constantly being teased and laughed at because of his weight. He figured that it would just get a lot worse in high school, and he wouldn't have as much a fun time in sports and school. So beginning in May of his 8th grade year, and over that summer, he was able to lose over 100 pounds. He was constantly working out and taking caution in what he ate. Instead of eating a loaf of sandwiches when he got home, he would run up 100 flights of stairs. He had never had a salad before then, and soon was trying to eat more vegetables and fruits. He had already excelled in school and participated in sports during middle school, but in his high school years, he became well known in the papers for his athletic accomplishments and continued to do well academically. In his senior year, my dad was named Athlete of the Year and valedictorian. My father had a lot of courage to be able to do that. My goal is to help kids like him lose weight and develop lifelong changes. Now, his family was very loving, but did not understand healthy eating or portion control. They believed they could not give a lot of extras to my dad, so they always had food around instead. They supported him as best they could in his weight loss efforts, but to this day, he is the only one in the family that lost any weight. Knowing this story, and knowing the childhood obesity problem in the U.S., I wonder if there is something I could do to help. We know the government has programs. Many schools are trying to incorporate healthy menus, but I wondered if there's more opportunities to help. I looked at myself, what was important to me, a fairly typical teenager. I like to eat, I like sports, and then it hit me. I really, really like this, and all the wonders that it holds with the countless numbers of apps, and I also like to play games on it, always trying to get to the next level. Since there are so many distractions in today's world, what many of these obese kids need is some help along the way. As you may know, many kids love to play video games and watch television. Quite a few of them would rather stay inside and play video games or watch TV instead of playing something outdoors or a sport. Actually, kids 8 through 18 years old spend 7.5 hours a day in front of some sort of screen, whether that is a TV, computer, phone, or video game. There are some kids who solely play video games and snack on junk food during the weekends or in school breaks. A large number of kids are influenced by a gaming obsession, and that leads to lack of physical activity. In addition to this, video games also tend to cause kids to enlarge their snacking and eating habits, which is another way to gain more weight and potentially become overweight or obese. I've looked at all these bad habits and we teens have, and I wondered how I could turn these bad habits into good habits. I've come up with an idea that might help solve some of the weight problems in the kids of the 21st century. Now, keeping in mind that we kids like to play video games, and that the causes of obesity are usually food intake, lack of exercise, or both, I want to make it appealing for kids to try and be able to succeed. When people hear the word app, many ideas pop into their head. Just in day-to-day conversations, people may say, I bet there's an app for that. There are millions of apps, and there are hundreds of weight loss apps. I would like to make one that is appealing and solely for kids my age. Most of the weight loss apps now are for adults and not all that exciting for kids who enjoy video games. My plan is to have an avatar-based app that acts almost like a game, but is just a virtual way of how to help overweight and obese kids. An avatar is a computer-generated figure that may look lifelike, and it may not. The one that I have in mind in the app would be based on the body mass index of the teenager. The avatar would change as the body mass index changes. Many of the BMI avatars today are only for adults and may seem boring to kids. But here's an example. Oops, wrong button. Okay, wait, let me go back. Alright, here's an example of an avatar that is much more appealing to kids my age. But it still does not show the true changes or the true sizes of the teen as the app that I have in mind would. The app that I have in mind would start by asking their teens their height and weight. It almost acts as a mirror, except the kid in the app is a simulated character. They would be able to see the changes in themselves through the changes in the avatar. There will be lessons and workouts, and for each workout completed, they will be rewarded with heart points. For example, if they do 5 push-ups, they will be rewarded with 5 heart points. There will also be eating tips, for instance, lessons about portion control. Their avatar will begin to thin over time, just like themselves, and the heart points they receive can go to personalizing their avatar and his or her accessories. I've looked into building an app this advanced, and I have even gone to a college seminar at Capital University to see if it would be possible. The first thing the instructor said was, if you don't know how to code, you're in the wrong place. Oops. Again, I messed up. All right. If you don't know how to code, you're in the wrong place. I was in the wrong place. The one thing that I was able to learn from it, though, was that I was not going to be able to make this app by myself. It was way harder than I realized. I needed help designing my app. I actually checked to see if there was an app for that, and there is. It can be expensive, but I'm positive it's going to work. I am currently in the process of finding a partner. If I am able to change just one life, or make one life longer and more enjoyable, that will be life-changing for myself, and hopefully would cure more people from obesity as a child. Thank you.